This program only reflects the personal views of the program host and all the individual contributors.
This is NEWSLINE. I am Michael Chigani. Hong Kong workers underpaid and overworked. With me are Andrew Shun, friend of big business, and Fernando Cheung, a crusader for the working class. Thank you both. I think I have accurately described the both of you.
You really think so?
I really do think so.
You really think so?
You've both been on the show before. You know what, Fernando, I'm going to start with you. You're a former legislative counselor, and people know you as a person who fights for the underclass. Even while you were in LegCo, you did that. But surely, Hong Kong workers are doing fine compared to many other countries. The chief executive was on this show a couple of weeks ago, and he pointedly said, no one is starving in Hong Kong.
That's true. Well, I think it depends on where you want to compare, who you want to compare with. You compare ourselves with the really underdeveloped countries, we're doing quite fine, but we're ranked in above a lot of the economically developed countries, and we should be comparing ourselves with OECD countries, and in that sense, we are very, very lacking behind.
In what way?
Well, our workers are working a hell of a number of hours per week. We're talking about 700,000 people working more than 60 hours a week. And in comparison, a lot of these other countries talking about an average of 40-hour working
But
week.
they're not riding the streets, they're not doing anything. It's like, look at France, the workers, they know where to do it. Hong Kong people seem quite content.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of contention or not. It's a matter of whether we have the avenues to fight back. Hong Kong workers have no bargaining power. The unions do not have collective bargaining power.
You want to socialize the society?
Well,
make it like a welfare or a social system?
Look at the United States, the most capitalistic country in the world, has a standard working week of 40 hours a week. And we're talking about over 1 million of our workers working more than 50 hours a week. I think we are barbaric in terms of capitalism.
Barbaric, you used that word. Let me go to Andrew Shun. You're from...
barbarian.
Well, I described you as a defender of big business, but you're with the Lion Rock Institute,
yes,
which is known as...
for those who still want to climb in society.
Well, you know, the Lion Rock Institute, let me explain, is a conservative think tank, right?
A free market think tank.
Right, okay. Yes. So it's a free market think tank. Fernando Cheung said is barbaric, but you, I know, and you've been here previously, you say the free market should determine everything. Working hours, wages for the workers. So if the free market decides that workers should be paid slave wages, you would agree with that?
If they're being paid wages, they're not slaves. They're not subservient to any...
I said slave wages, not slaves.
Hold on. When you actually asked Fernando here, how you would compare Hong Kong people to abroad, Fernando said that we are lacking in many ways, and one of the ways that we work longer hours. But if you actually take, when you ask the chief executive, and the chief executive answered you, well, Hong Kong people are not starving. I would say that going on to English language shows is not our CE's strength. What he actually meant was, if you actually take United Nations measure of poverty, things like calorie intake, life expectancy, literacy, women's rights, the survival rate of children when they actually get born into society, Hong Kong reigns supreme. We actually have a longer life expectancy than Japan now.
But you diverted from my question.
Hold on. Let me get back to
I asked you whether, if you in support of free market, would you support for a slave wages?
Every single worker in Hong Kong thinks that they're working too hard for not enough pay. Find me a worker that doesn't think so. Probably a civil servant.
You're not answering my question.
Well, what is a slave wage? Tell me, what is a slave wage?
Tommy Cheung, for example, the legislative councillor, says workers, at first he's retracted that, says Workers should be paid $20 an hour. Okay, now, so that'll be like, what, $5,000 a month, thereabouts? $4,000 a month. Some people pay less than that.
Right.
Would you agree, as a free marketeer, that the free market should decide? And if it goes as low as $10 an hour, will you say that's what the free market decides? That's slave wages.
Exceptional question. When the trade unions or kind-hearted people like Fernando demands a minimum wage, it's actually, and the maximum working hours, it's actually a pincer movement for the trade unionists. In what respect? When when minimum wage actually first came out as a concept in the early 20th and late 19th century, it was dreamed up by trade unions in places like California and New Zealand. So you bear in mind that New Zealand was the first society to give the women the right to vote. So hence, women actually entered labor force in massive numbers. So what happened was, because they actually were competitive in price, because they charged a lower price, and it was an agricultural economy that required a lot of upper body strength, the men actually gathered together and said, how are we going to exclude all these women from our labor force? And one of the most effective ways is to actually set a price floor, a minimum wage, and hence women cannot compete on an hourly rate for jobs that's done by men. And then the men can say, well, then you all can go back to take care of my children and cook in the kitchen. Now, the maximum...
What's the point you're trying to make here? The
maximum working hours, you have to be far more cynical in the intentions of these individuals who wrap themselves in a halo and call themselves, crusaders for the poor. But all the policies they're implementing is try to exclude new labor force into entering into the workplace.
So
hold on. I'm not finished.
No, hang on, wait a minute.
Let me finish the
Let him talk.
And in the maximum working, and then employers said to themselves, well, hourly wage, there's some jobs that doesn't, is not done over an hour or
I don't see a halo over your head, Fernando Cheung, but
I don't see it either.
you crowned him right from the beginning. Yes, right from the beginning of the show, crusader. Isn't that?
And
a
I
term?
said you're.
Hold on. Isn't that a term?
I said you're a crusader of big business as well.
Isn't that a term?
No. I used the word crusader for both of you.
Religious connotation.
Absolutely not.
And
I
I'm
used
just
the word.
really calling him. Look.
All right. Okay.
Doesn't he have a halo?
Let's come back to reality. Let's come back to reality.
The reality is that your policies will harm workers.
Well, okay, you have all the theories. You have all the statistics.
No, it's not theories.
Right? Okay, let's not just make it a pure academic debate here.
All right.
Let's look at reality. We do have a lot of workers, a good portion of our laborers are working long hours in comparison to other civilized society. Is that a fact?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
If you take the city of Oakland in California, in which I'm sure you very well know, because you spent many times there. Yeah. After the minimum wage was hiked in the U.S., what is the unemployment rate for African American in the city of Oakland right now?
Okay. Let's come back to reality.
No.
As a mother of an African American youth is unemployed.
Let him make his point. Go on.
He's saying that I'm detached from reality, and yet he's trying to avoid it.
No. I'm talking about long working hours are not doing good for our laborers. We're harming their mental health, their physical health. We have a lot of problems. A lot of people are working with
work-life
back pain.
balance.
The work-life balance is not balanced. We all understand it very well. Family lives are affected.
Okay, so now the chief executive says we've got a minimum wage law coming up soon.
Right.
The law has been passed, the rate, whether it's $28, $29, that's going to be decided. Chief executive also says that we should now have standard working hours. How many hours should we work a day?
Well, I think on average, Hong Kong people are working about 48, 49 hours.
What do you propose? What do you suggest?
I would propose 40 hours.
40 hours a day?
Yes.
6 days a week?
No,
5 days a week? 5 days, 8 hours a day?
Yes.
Okay. Does that include lunch hour?
No, that usually doesn't include.
Okay. Now, Andrew,
Right.
I'm going to put a halo on your head as well. I'm going to call you a crusader of big business.
Hold on, actually, I want to talk about the slave wage issue.
Okay.
Okay, I don't view it as a slave wage. I view it as the apprentice wage. Okay, you might say, well, apprentice wage, what does that mean? Individuals who are receiving the least pay in Hong Kong are workers who needs work experience the most.
Also, elderly people being security guards.
Most of these individuals who become security guards left their field due to structural changes in the economy and had to embark on a new career.
Yeah, but you don't apprentice working for $16 an hour at Cafe de Coral.
People tried People always
What are
make,
you,
hold on,
what
people
are you
always
doing
make evil.
an apprentice
No, no, hold
for
on.
working in a fast
People
food joint?
People always in the media always make evil the food and beverage industry in Hong Kong. And yet you have to admit the food and beverage industry in Hong Kong gave so many new migrants their first chances of entering Hong Kong's labor force. And from there onwards, if they have what it takes, if they have the drive and the want and the guts, they'll make it. Now the thing is, once you have things like maximum working hours and minimum wage, these workers will have a very hard time to, first of all, enter into labor force and to accumulate the necessary working experience. I mean, in Hong Kong, the biggest demand for maximum working hours is not hourly workers.
But you know, Andrew Sheng makes a point when he says that it offers jobs to mainland migrant workers coming to Hong Kong. He makes a point there.
Let them amalgamate the society.
Well, but why don't you offer them an opportunity with some decent compensation?
But they're untrained.
Dignity.
They're not trained.
Yes.
Well,
they don't have the work experience.
Well, come on, Andrew. Every corporation.
When was the last time you had a real job that was not in the public sector and not funded by taxpayers?
No, but see, the trained or not trained is, or skilled or not skilled, is really not defined by the laborer. The laborer may come with a lot of training, a lot of skill, but you know, it's like you said, there are structural changes, market changes.
And you're calling me detached from reality when you are blindfolded by economic illiteracy?
No, whatever the market
is. So a worker's skills are not compensated.
Market is a mechanism, but our society do not operate only on market principles, Andrew. We look at different principles. We have to look at these are human beings.
I understand.
And these are not statistics.
Why are you telling me this theory when I'm telling you that you're denying these new migrants?
Are you saying we should look at them as human beings?
Oh, he's not. He's looking at it as a theory.
He's saying you're not.
Hong Kong should not be all about markets or control.
But you're the free marketeer.
Oh, I believe in the free market because that works. If socialism actually worked, I'll believe in socialism. I'll believe in everything Fernando does. You know, if I actually think that new migrants, if I actually believe that new migrants,
I don't think he's proposing a socialist system.
If I believe what Fernando does actually helps new migrants and young students,
you know what?
Students,
you know what, Andrew?
I'm
going to wrap it up for the first half, and we'll pick it up the next half. Don't go away.